My name is Riley, and I had always dreamed of being a cheerleader. When I transferred to Redwood High for my junior year, I saw my chance. The school was known for its excellent cheerleading squad, the Redwood Ravens. They were the pride of the school, and their performances were always flawless and spectacular. I was thrilled when I made the cut. I had worked hard to perfect my skills, and I was eager to join the team. Our cheerleading coach, Miss Davis, was a former Ravens cheerleader herself. She was strict but fair, and under her guidance, the squad had won several state championships. This year, we were aiming for nationals. The first few weeks were intense. Practice every day after school and on weekends. We learned new routines, practiced old ones, and drilled on our coordination and timing. We were all committed, but Sarah, our captain, was on another level. She was relentless in her pursuit of perfection, pushing us harder each day. Sarah was the best cheerleader in the squad, and everyone looked up to her. She was beautiful, smart, and popular, the perfect package. She was also friendly and supportive, always encouraging us and giving us tips. I admired her a lot, and I hoped to be like her someday. But then the accidents started happening. First, it was Lisa, one of the flyers. During a complicated lift, she lost her balance and fell, landing on her arm with a sickening crack. We were all shaken but chalked it up to a freak accident. Lisa was taken to the hospital where they confirmed that she had broken her arm. She would be out for at least 6 weeks. We sent her flowers and cards, wishing her a speedy recovery. Miss Davis told us to stay focused and positive. "Accidents happen," she said. "What's important is how we recover." But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The lift had been flawless in practice, and Lisa was one of our most experienced flyers. How could she have lost her balance so suddenly? 2 weeks later, Emily twisted her ankle so badly during practice that she was out for the season. She was doing a simple jump when she landed awkwardly and collapsed in pain. We rushed to her side, trying to comfort her as she cried out. Again, we were shocked and confused. Emily had done that jump hundreds of times before without any problem. How could she have messed up so badly? People started whispering. Was the squad cursed? Or worse, was someone sabotaging us? Miss Davis dismissed such talk as nonsense. "Accidents happen," she said again. "What's important is how we recover." But I wasn't convinced. Something was wrong, and I had to find out what. That's when I found the notebook. It was tucked away in a corner of the locker room, hidden under a pile of pom-poms. Curiosity got the better of me, and I opened it. What I found sent chills down my spine. It was filled with detailed plans on how to cause accidents during practice. Specific moves, timing, and even the names of the cheerleaders to be targeted. My name was next on the list. I felt a surge of fear and anger as I realized that someone in the squad was deliberately hurting us. But who? And why? I took the notebook to Miss Davis, who was horrified. She immediately called a meeting and informed us that until the culprit was found, practice would be suspended. The next day, the school was buzzing with rumors. Fingers were pointed, accusations were made, but no one had any proof. The atmosphere in the squad was toxic. No one trusted anyone anymore. Then Sarah called for an unscheduled practice. "Nationals are just around the corner," she said in a text message to all of us. "We can't let this break us." She sounded confident and determined as always, but something in her tone made me uneasy. Reluctantly, we agreed. Practice started, and I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. We were halfway through when Sarah called for the pyramid formation, a complicated move where I was at the top. As I ascended, supported by my teammates, I felt a sudden jerk. My heart stopped as I lost my balance, teetering dangerously. Time slowed as I started to fall, but then strong arms caught me. It was Sarah. "Are you okay?" she asked me with concern in her eyes. "Yes," I stammered as she helped me down. "Thank you." Practice was immediately stopped as everyone gathered around me. "Are you okay?" they repeated. "Yes," I said again as I tried to calm down. "What happened?" Miss Davis asked me. "I don't know," I said. "I just felt a jerk and lost my balance." "Who was holding you?" she asked. I looked around and saw the faces of my teammates, all looking worried and confused, except for one. Sarah. She was smiling. A strange, twisted smile that made my blood run cold. She was holding the notebook in her hand. She had been the one who jerked me. She had been the one behind the accidents. She had been the one who wanted to hurt us. All along. I felt a surge of fear and anger as I realized the truth. I pointed at her and shouted, "It was her! She did it! She's the one who's been sabotaging us!" Everyone turned to look at her, shocked and incredulous. Sarah's smile faded as she saw the accusation in my eyes. She dropped the notebook and ran out of the gym, followed by Miss Davis and the police, who had been called by one of the other cheerleaders. She was arrested and later confessed to causing the accidents. Her motive was chilling. She believed that by overcoming adversity, the squad would become stronger, unbeatable even, and she was willing to go to any lengths to ensure victory. She was obsessed with perfection, and she didn't care who she hurt in the process. The news hit us like a ton of bricks. We were horrified, betrayed, and thankful that no one had been seriously hurt. The squad was disbanded and Miss Davis resigned, broken by what had happened. As for me, I gave up cheerleading for good. The price of perfection was too high, a lesson I had learned in the most horrifying way possible. And so, the legacy of the Redwood Ravens came to a chilling end. A grim reminder that sometimes the monsters we fear are not lurking in the dark, but are among us, wearing the same uniform and cheering for the same team.
It was my first semester at Willow Creek High, and I was excited to join the drama club. The school was an architectural relic, with its stone walls and Gothic arches, but it had a charm that drew me in. I had heard rumors about the school's haunted theater, but I dismissed them as mere tales to scare freshmen. The drama club met every Tuesday and Thursday after school in the old theater. Our drama teacher, Mrs. Thompson, was a lively woman in her 50s who had a passion for Shakespeare. She told us that we would be performing Macbeth for the fall festival. Remember, the Scottish play is considered cursed, so let's respect its history, she said, her eyes twinkling with a mix of excitement and caution. Weeks went by, and rehearsals were in full swing. I was cast as Banquo, and I couldn't be happier. But strange things started happening. Props would go missing, and lights would flicker during the most intense scenes. Mrs. Thompson blamed it on the theater's old wiring and our carelessness with the props. Then came the incident that changed everything. It was a Tuesday, and we were rehearsing Act 3, Scene 1, the scene where Banquo starts suspecting Macbeth. I was on stage, delivering my lines, when I felt a sudden chill. The temperature in the room dropped drastically. I looked around, and my eyes met those of a shadowy figure standing in the back of the theater. It was a man, dressed in old-fashioned clothes, staring at me intently. I blinked, and he was gone. I was shaken, but decided not to say anything. Who would believe me? Maybe it was just my imagination running wild. But then Emily, who played Lady Macbeth, said she felt uneasy and often felt like someone was watching her. Mrs. Thompson assured us it was just nerves. The next Thursday, we were supposed to stay late to finish the set. I was painting a backdrop when I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around, expecting to see one of my classmates, but there was no one. The footsteps continued, growing louder and closer. I mustered the courage to follow the sound, which led me to the prop room. The door creaked open, and I stepped inside. It was pitch black. I fumbled for the light switch and turned it on. The room was filled with old costumes, masks, and props, and there, lying on the table, was the dagger used in the play. Except it looked different, more real and menacing. I reached out to touch it, and the moment my fingers brushed against the metal, I felt a sharp pain in my hand. I pulled back, and the room plunged into darkness. When the lights came back on, the dagger was gone. I rushed out of the room, my heart pounding in my chest. I told Mrs. Thompson what had happened, and she decided to end the rehearsal early. That night, I couldn't sleep. The events in the theater replayed in my mind. I decided to do some research and stumbled upon an old article. It said that in 1956, a student had died during the performance of Macbeth at Willow Creek High. He was playing Banquo, and the dagger used in the play turned out to be real. The student bled to death on stage, and the person responsible was never found. The next day, I went to Mrs. Thompson and showed her the article. She was visibly shaken. "We must stop the play," she said, her voice trembling. But it was too late. The news spread like wildfire, and the drama club split into two groups, those who wanted to continue and those who wanted to quit. Arguments broke out, friendships were ruined, and the club was disbanded. The theater was closed and remained that way for the rest of the year. But the events that transpired left a mark on all of us. I still pass by the theater sometimes, and I can't help but feel a chill run down my spine, for I know that the ghost of Banquo still roams those halls, waiting for the next performance of Macbeth. And so, the curse of the Scottish play lives on at Willow Creek High, a grim reminder that some stories are better left untold.
I was beyond excited for my senior year at Oak Ridge High. It was a time for many lasts, and I was particularly looking forward to the last homecoming dance. The theme was A Night Under the Stars, and the student council had gone all out to make it special. I was part of the decorating committee, and we had spent weeks planning every detail. The dance was to be held in the school gym, transformed into a celestial wonderland with twinkling lights and shimmering fabrics. But the centerpiece was the homecoming crown, a beautiful creation adorned with faux jewels and intricate designs. It was said to be a replica of a crown worn by a queen in the 1800s, donated by a local antique shop. The night of the dance arrived, and the gym was buzzing with excitement. Everyone looked stunning in their formal wear, and the atmosphere was electric. The DJ played the latest hits, and we danced the night away. Then it was time for the homecoming king and queen to be announced. The tension was palpable as the nominees stood on stage. Finally, the moment arrived. The homecoming king was Mark, the star quarterback, and the queen was Jenna, the head cheerleader. They were the perfect couple, admired and envied by everyone. Jenna looked radiant as she was crowned, the antique crown glittering on her head. But as soon as it touched her, her expression changed. Her eyes darkened, and a strange smile crossed her lips. She looked different, almost unrecognizable. The dance continued, but Jenna was not herself. She moved with a grace and confidence that were almost eerie. People started to notice and whisper, but no one could put a finger on what was wrong. Then, at the stroke of midnight, the lights flickered and went out. A sense of dread filled the room. When the lights came back on, Jenna was gone. The crown lay on the stage, empty and forlorn. A search was initiated, but Jenna was nowhere to be found. The police were called, and the dance was abruptly ended. The school was in shock, and the celebrations turned into a nightmare. Days turned into weeks, and there was still no sign of Jenna. The police had no leads, and the case went cold. The crown was returned to the antique shop, where it was discovered that it was indeed an authentic piece from the 1800s, rumored to be cursed. According to legend, the queen who had worn it had disappeared under mysterious circumstances, never to be found. The school tried to move on, but the shadow of that night hung over us. The crown was locked away, never to be used again, but its curse lived on. Every year, on the night of the homecoming dance, the lights in the gym flicker at midnight, and for a brief moment, if you listen closely, you can hear the faint sound of a woman's laughter, chilling and malevolent, a grim reminder of the night when a dance turned into a horror story. And so, the legend of the cursed crown became a part of Oak Ridge High's history, a cautionary tale of how a night of celebration can turn into a night of terror, leaving us all to wonder what evil lurks in the objects we consider beautiful.